ETE Mhatap Seni Senat Ankwas the Jet Uncle Jasanab Dua Henu for listening. Welcome to another episode of Praising the Divine. Praising the Divine. I'm about to say the whole website. And don't forget to check our website, praisethedivine.org. That's praisethedivine.org. Praisethedivine.org. And you'll see a bunch of videos, as I said, working on some physical content. The introduction class is almost finished, so we'll be inviting several of you. Come, it doesn't matter, international, national, you're invited, right? So come through so we can start to show you how to praise the divine. And of course, you can see us on Facebook, Heck in the Chair, HKN, New Word, NTR. Come join the Facebook group if you like. Do what you like. Do what you like. All right. So anyway, today we're going to be discussing venerating the ancestors and why they're an important part of our daily and regular life. Very important to do, very important to comprehend, and very important that you know this is a part of ancient Kemet and it's a part of today. If it's not done today, then that presents an issue, you know, because though we come on their backs, the same way Ra rolled Newt's back, right? We come on their backs. We come off of the information they have before us. We come from the legacies that they put in before us, so that we have a road and a path, and that we can maneuver forward. A lot of disrespect towards ancestors lately. We don't move like that, right? Especially when the ancestors are correct. Especially when they're correct, or even your elders are correct and you're wrong, right? Sometimes they are incorrect. And when they are incorrect, we sit down with them behind closed doors and we have the discussion and we go from there. But anyway, that's not our topic today. The topic is venerating the ancestors. So let me share my screen. Let me share my screen for you. As we present to everyone. Veneration of the Akhu by your brother Sheba Saramka. And it's just an important part of your everyday life, right? So let's get into some foreground, right? Let's get into it. So this is a typical family. As you can see, they're blue. Most families are blue. No, I'm joking. This is a typical family. And what you see here, you see husband, you see wife, you see two children, son, daughter. Typical family. This family derives from a family, come from a family, obviously. And that family is probably large and in depth. And that family comes from a family, etc., etc., etc. The way this family gets here in knowledge, information, and generally in action is on the coattails of those who come before them. We call them the Akhu. That is our ancestors. That's the ancient term for your ancestors. And with that being said, if one of the members passes away, we honor that member. So let's look again, right? Here's Papa. Papa passes. He's out of the picture. So now you have daughter, son, and mother. Just a scenario. Pop passes away. He's gone. So we want to honor that member. And this should transcend whether you're black, white, Arab, Latino, etc., Asian, you honor that member of your family because that member generally has knowledge. We're talking about those who are honorable, of course. They brought knowledge. They're a provider for a home. Back in the day, if we talk ancient times, they probably helped build the village. They probably did work in the per ankh, what you call the temple, house of life. If they were, venerated, they probably, they did a lot of work to make sure you would be okay. From the teaching of the children, from the gathering of food, etc., etc. And that stands still today. That member holds a very strong connection for the family to be a knit whole. So if you look at the missing member in a lot of families, it's the father sometimes, right? And without a father, you've seen children go very astray. Very astray. You've seen them not have a certain foundation that children who do have fathers active in their life have. And that's because that member is gone. So a piece of that family is gone. But when a father is there and he's doing what he's supposed to do, we honor that member. And when he passes, we definitely have to honor that member. So you heard the phrase from our brother Tupac Shakur. Pour out a little liquor. That's for those who came from that 90s era like I did, right? When you see him say pour out a liquor, this is a man here who was missing a father in the home. Afeni raised those children. His father was a Black Panther, didn't make it. And Afeni was left to do the work. And when Afeni got weak, he was left to do the work. But not even knowing, probably, about his ancestry in this fashion, he made a song, made a few songs. Dear Mama, right? Before she passed, he was making songs like that. He passed before she did. But he's making songs to venerate his parents. But he also makes songs to venerate his friends and those who are around him, those he learned from, those he, and he said, pour out a little liquor. This is an old African tradition. You call it libation pouring. You call it libation pouring. Tupac was telling you in a hip hop record about pouring libations. And I've spoke on this before. So when a family member passes, it's up to the other family member to keep the thought of the deceased alive. So you see the little sister right here? Her job is to keep the remembrance of the deceased alive. And you do that in a few ways. One of the ways you do it is by showing their knowledge and wearing it on your sleeves. By receiving their instruction and implementing it into your life. By passing the information on to those closest to you and your surrounding family. And also giving that knowledge to strangers who you may, come across on your way in your travels of life. An old African tradition still stands true. And that's her job now. That's her brother's job. That's the mother's job to do it for her mothers and her past family. And so now you see the stages. You see the mourning the family member that is no longer with you. We had the Impu priest, basically a mortician. Special ceremonies and rites, preparing the body with the proper ritual rites, very important to an ancient Ramesh, that you're buried properly. It's why when they would go to war and conquer a land, they wouldn't stay in the land because nobody wanted to die in that land. They wanted to die in Kemet, to make sure they were buried properly, make sure they were buried there, make sure they got all the proper rituals, etc., etc. So once the relative passes, we begin the remembrance, the asking of protection from them as they become more powerful in transition than they were when they were here. So let's go back to the Tupac situation, right? Once he died, he sold more records dead than he ever did alive. Because now he becomes interesting. Now his words become powerful to you. They become heka. They move you and they move other people. Now you want to hear what he has to say. When he was here, he could barely sell a record. He had just started to sell records. And I believe he had 200-something thousand in his bank account as he passed. Signs of being ripped off. But he could barely get busy when he was here. But when he was gone, everyone screams his name, right? Biggie too. Love Biggie. Oh, Biggie was the great. Now their words become heka. They were heka already, but you waited too long. As Digital Underground said, give them the heartbeat props. Give them their props while their heart is still beating. Give them recognition while they're alive. So you're watching ancient Kemet mourn someone who was great alive and even greater in passing. Now they're powerful. They're in the spiritual realm. They're a quantum body for any atheists listening today. They've joined the rest of the wave particles in quantum hood, if you will. And so now we get to veneration. We get to veneration. And you can see the brother here pouring a libation, probably from a Nimset jar. And you can see the different items on his car, his table of worship, for the ancestors to eat, for the Necharu to eat. Because in ancient Kemet, we praise the Necharu, we pray to the Necharu, we are Necharu, and we venerate and ask our ancestors for assistance. We venerate and ask them for assistance because they're even more powerful now in the spiritual realm. Now their lessons will really harp on us. Now their thoughts and sayings will really transcend through our soul. And so before we eat, because you're looking at the beginnings of saying grace at your food table, and you've probably been in several moments of saying grace since you've grown up. People ask all types of different stuff during the grace, etc., etc. The grace started from you venerating your ancestors, venerating the Necharu for getting the food to you, etc., etc., etc. We want to make sure this part is not lost. As you can see, there's grapes. There's all types of stuff on the table. Flowers. You see the remnants of probably a sar right here. Looks like the mummy form of a sar. Right? Remember who you are and be an Asar. Remember the souls who made you, the soul that you are, and the soul that you will become. Right? We talked about that before. Heru is today. Heru and Marquette. Heru in the horizon is you today. Yesterday is Asar as you. That's the ancestors back you came in on. Right? And that's the things that you did in your past. And tomorrow you is Ra. Right? So we talked about that. The two lions facing opposite each other, and the horizon with the sun coming above it and its meaning. But right now, it's him, and he's venerating the past because he knows what it'll make him tomorrow. So you see him pour the libation. You see him let the food sit for a time so that the Akhu can eat and drink with him. This is from the introduction class that I'm putting together. I wrote this. I said, while it is true the whole world is a place we can give praise to the Necharu, our ancestors will perform sesha, prayers, and hinket or hinek, which means offerings, in a private location, the shru, secluded private sanctity, if you will, on a daily basis, which we call eminet, the daily offerings. When doing so, they would approach their ka'ar, or the jebehet hetep, or their kawit, which is altar. These are altars, as can be seen in several pictures in the Peret Imheru, the book of coming forth by day. You see Annie and his wife doing it. You see Naket and his wife doing it. You can keep going on and on. You'll see different people doing it. Then they would call upon Necha for assistance in daily life. Most of the formulas would start with the Hetep Di Nasu, a peace offering from the king. But if you're not the Nasu, you may say something like Hetep Di Sesh if you're a scribe, or your name and begin your request with your demand. When speaking with your Akhu, your ancestors, it's quite similar. If you'd like to say Hetep Di and your name, and then you would say Nejer, which you usually hear, and Nejerak. I seek your counsel, your question, your advice, or you might hear Nejnej. Advice, counsel, Akhu. Counsel me. Counsel me. I know you're not here. Talk to me in spirit. Talk to me. Let me look at you in a picture. Let me think of how you were in this life, and let me reminisce on the advice you would have given or something that you did give. I need to reflect upon what you were telling me when you were here, and now that you're gone, I needed to be deified through me even more. So we hasi, we favor someone, we praise someone, and we keep them in sikau, remembrance, memory, mention, memorial. We nahi, we pray for, and we nisnin, call to summon our ma'atiyu, the just men and righteous blessed dead, and hetepiyu, the peaceful ones, the blessed dead. And we sejfe, endow altars provided for someone, for them by allowing them to eat with us and drink with us. And when they pass, we still remember that ket and ankh, embodiment of food, is still tasty to them, whether we leave it out or put its likeness on a wall or whatever we do to remember them and keep our pledge, our sejfa tiriyet, our oath of allegiance to our family and our friends. This is the Ramesh way. This is what we do. This is the African way. This is early Europe's way. This is Mexico's way. Ancient Aztecs. This is the Aboriginals in Australia's way. This has been for the time before time. This has been for humans. Some of these dudes think you come from apes. Guess what the apes did? Guess where we learned it from? Watching the baboons put their hands up to the sun. Huh? For those of you who didn't know. So you see the brother here sitting next to his ka'ar. You see him sitting there. See him giving praise. He's some type of Hemet, I can tell from the script above there. I'm not going to read this here in full. I could, Uberi tek mir aneb hehe. We're not going to read that part. Let's read the translation, though, so you start to comprehend what's going on. It says, your condition is absolutely like a living one by the command of the Necharu who are in the sky and earth. You will put an end to the enemies, evil of character of your house, of your brother, your mother, third, and her excellent son, Merer. For as you were Iker, excellent upon earth, so are you Menek, excellent in the necropolis, with mortuary services performed for you. The Haker ceremony performed for you. The wag ceremonies are performed for you, and bread and beer given to you upon the table of the foremost of the Westerners, with the going downstream into the night bark, or going upstream into the day bark, and truth of voice given to you beside every nutcher, as I make the praise of the dead for you, of the Akhu for you. This is an old letter written to an Akhu, written to an ancestor. Old letters telling you how to treat your elders, how to treat those who pass, how to treat those who paved the way for you in this life. You see the Ka'ar, they would endow this with food, etc., etc., incense, etc., etc. Things you should be doing now. Things you should be doing now. But you don't. But you better wake up. Let's read one more, right? So we got another statement from the loyalist teaching in the Papyrus Amherst. And it explains the sentiment and reasoning for remembrance of your Akhu. We'll skip the translations. I'm not gonna hit you with that. It says, fight for people in every way. They are the flock that is good for their nectar. It is they who find what for their neb. It is they who find what one lives on. So they are good too for burial. See, watch over your Ka priest. If the son is lazy, there is still the pure priest, the Wa priest. The one called an heir is the one who does favor. Initiate the noble and recite on his name. The blessed Akhu bring the food offerings, for doing is more powerful, is more useful to the doer than to the one for whom it is done. It is the nourished Akhu who protect the one who is on earth. I said it's the nourished Akhu who protect the one who is on earth. So as you can see, we asked our past Akhu to look after us, to keep us safe, to guide us in knowledge and endeavors, and perform ceremonies for them as if they were still here. This should give new meaning to the hip hop phrase, pour out a little liquor. You understand? So don't, when you start to hear people disrespect the Akhu, disrespecting their ancestors, look, first I want you just to take a look at them. Look at how they talk. Look at how they act amongst people. Look and see if they're really useful at anything. Look at their behavior. Look and see if they're worth a nickel. Right? See if these dudes is really worth a nickel. Because a lot of them are not. A lot of them are not. Simple as that. And so when they go on and, you know, you hear cats disrespecting ancestors, doing too much, that's not the way of your people. That's not how we move. That's some new thing going on. Because you know, if you disrespect somebody in your house, if you come up in a black family, you're going to get that belt. That belt going to touch you. The belt going to touch you nasty too. You already know what it is. You know that belt is going to touch you. Let me look into the let me look in the chat. I ain't looking in the chat yet. Let me see. You see what's going on in the chat with the brothers and sisters, man. So I just threw this up real fast. I know everybody watching the playoffs, but you know how we do. Swab Boss, Tap Saver, what's going on, fam? So you already know what it is. So remember, when we venerate our Akhu, that's a very important thing. Most people claim they don't, or claim that it's some type of worship. Let them say whatever they want to say. At the end of the day, what's important are a few things. That you don't disrespect your Akhu, and that you give them praise and honor like they deserve. Muslims praise their Akhu. They do it in the Sanad. How does that do it? Because they keep a chain of people who they claim are righteous in speech and tongue, and in keeping that Sanad, that Isnad or Sanad, what Isnad it is, that chain, they say Ibn so-and-so told Ibn so-and-so told Ibn so-and-so told Ibn so-and-so that this was a true matter, etc., etc., etc. And that's how it's done. Hold on, honey. You understand? So it's very important that you respect your ancestors, that you give them honor, that you give them praise, and that you remember who you are and be in the Sar. Uncle Jasaneb, Uncle Astajed. I'll see you guys soon. Enjoy your day. Imita.